Hey guys, this is Venom coming at you with another build video today, and today we're going to be talking about a 1-bar heavy attack Magwarden. We're going to start first with the gear sets. For the weapon, lightning staff for the sergeant, sharpen trait, weapon and spell damage glyph. 2-piece gives max health, 3-piece health recovery, 4-piece weapon and spell damage. 5-piece, when you deal damage with a heavy attack, you gain a stack of sergeant's focus for 5 seconds, increasing the damage of your heavy attacks by 645 per stack. This effect can occur once every second and stacks up to 4 times. The armor is all Divine's max magic enchantment. The head is a light slime crawl. This adds 771 critical chance. Chest is your heavy sergeants. The shoulders, waist, hands, legs, and feet is infallible aether. The 2-piece gives critical chance. 3-piece minor slayer, increasing the damage to dungeons, trial, and arena monsters 5%. 4-piece weapon and spell damage. The double 5-piece gives another layer of critical chance. Your heavy attacks deal an additional 900 damage. Enemies you damage with fully charged heavy attacks are afflicted with minor vulnerability for 10 seconds, increasing their damage taken 5%. I like to run infal mostly when I'm doing 4-man content. If you're trying to get higher parse numbers on a 21 mil target dummy, or you're in a very optimized trial settings where people are buffing and debuffing the targets, then Storm Masters would be a better set to run in those areas, because this set right here is going to give you your penetration and your critical chance. When you're in 4-man content, you're not always going to get all those buffs and debuffs, so I find infal better for that. But again, if you're on the 21 mil target skeleton dummy and you're trying to get higher numbers, or you're in a trial settings, swap this set out for Storm Masters. The jewelry, sergeants, bloodthirsty, weapon and spell damage glyph, ring, and then the other ring is Oaken Soul, bloodthirsty, weapon and spell damage glyph. We'll jump into the skills. I like to swap some of these out depending on the content that I'm running. This is just my kind of general setup. For the first skill is the Screaming Cliff Racer. This is going to deal magic damage. If you're more than 7 meters away, you set them off balance for 7 seconds. After damaging, you increase your weapon and spell damage by 100 for 10 seconds, which quadruples after damaging off-balance enemies. So this will knock them off balance, it deals damage, and then you gain 400 weapon and spell damage. Just a great spammable, great way to buff your character. Next, Unstable Wall of Storms. This deals shock damage in an 18 by 8 meter area. It lasts 10 seconds. After 1 second, it also concusses enemies off, setting concussed enemies off balance for 7 seconds. The effect ends, the barrier explodes, it deals shock damage. You can cause this to end early by just reactivating the skill. So you can have an AoE explosion going off just by reactivating it. It's just a good way to clear out multiple targets. If you're trying to do your single target, this is your spammable. If you have multiple targets, you can reactivate this. Next, Deep Fissure. This is going to deal magic damage to enemies in front of you. After the shot complete their attack, they are on the ground for 6 seconds, and then they resurface, dealing even more magic damage to enemies in front of you. Enemies damaged are afflicted with major and minor breach, reducing their physical and spell resistances by 5,948 and 2,974 for 10 seconds. This is just a great way not only to deal damage twice, but it's going to afflict the enemies with major and minor breach. It's like Puncture from the Sword and Board skill line, but with a 20 by 7 meter area. It's just a great way to hit multiple targets and debuff them and deal damage. Awesome skill to run. Next, Green Lotus. If you're doing a heavy attack build, if your group is doing a heavy attack build, especially in 4-man content, this is great to have, as it's going to give you your guys just a constant heal coming in every time they do their heavy attacks. It works with light attacks as well. It restores 1710 health. Your fully charged heavy attacks restore 5,130 health to you or to nearby allies for 20 seconds. While active, you gain Major Prophecy and Savagery, increasing your spell and weapon critical rating by 2,629. Next, for your emergency heal, Enchanted Growth. This is going to heal you and your allies for over 10k. Any target healed gains minor intellect and minor endurance, increasing their magicka and stam recovery by 15% for 20 seconds. For the ult, I like to run Thunderous Rage. This, because we have a lightning staff, it lasts 9 seconds. It's 28 meter range, 8 meter radius. There's better ultimates you can run for single target, but if you're trying to fight multiple targets, this is your best option. We'll look at some of the other options that you can run for replacing out skills and why you may run these in certain areas. If you're going up against a single target, the Eternal Guardian, I like to run it more than I do my Destro ult. This is going to summon your Grizzly Bear. It deals magic damage. It sometimes swipes all enemies in front of it, dealing magic damage. It just passively deals damage as it's out, just doing its thing. Once summoned, though, you can activate it for only 75 ultimate, and it will cause a Grizzly to maul an enemy for magic damage. It deals 150% more to enemies below 25% health. So you can kind of use it almost like an execute, you know. Other skills you might run, sometimes I will put on Growing Swarm. This will last, 20 seconds. It's got a 5 meter radius, 28 meter range. Attack an enemy, causing them to bleed for over 19,000, bleed damage over 20 seconds. It afflicts them with minor vulnerability for the duration, increasing their damage taken 5%. Enemies near the carrier take 1,678 bleed damage every 2 seconds for the duration. Sometimes if I'm fighting just large groups of stuff, I'll put this on in place of my Cliff Racer and just kind of just smack down, you know, trash packs with it. The Blue Betty, this will restore magicka to you over 25 seconds, grants major brutality and sorcerer, increasing weapon and spell damage 20%. The main reason I would run this is just every 5 seconds the net removes a negative effect from you. It's just kind of a neat way to sort of like have a purge built into your guy. Depends on what content you're doing, you may want that. This skill here I run often depending on what I'm doing. If I need this extra speed, mobility, or whatever on my guy, I will put this on. Invoke the Spirit of Agility to gain major expedition for 6 seconds, increasing your movement speed 30%. You gain immunity to snares and mobilizations for 4 seconds, and while slotted, you gain minor evasion, reducing damage taken from area attacks 10%. Your passives: Bond with Nature. Anytime one of your animal companion skills end, you're healed. Savage Beast, when you cast animal companion ability while you're in combat, you generate 4 ult. This can occur every 8 seconds. Flourish, increase your magic and stamina recovery 12% if an animal companion ability is slotted. Advanced Species, increase your critical damage 4% for each animal companion ability slotted. Certain builds you can put on if you're running the Eternal Guardian, if you're trying to parse, or if you're fighting a single target, you can swap out some of your skills and fill up your animal companion abilities, and you can push these numbers a lot higher. So again, if you're trying to do your parses or single target, if you're trying to just nuke a boss, you can swap some of these out. Underneath Green Balance, sometimes I will trade out Green Lotus if I am in solo content, and I will run Leeching Vines. It will embrace you or the lowest health ally in front of you, and that's where it can be a problem if you're wanting this applied to yourself. You want to just turn away from your team and then apply it so that you'll get the Leeching Vines instead of them. So yeah, in solo content, I like to run this. The Vines heal the target health each time they take damage This effect can occur once every second, and it gives minor lifesteal to enemies that damage the target for 10 seconds, healing you and your allies 660 health every 1 second when damaging that enemy. Fastest accelerated growth. When you heal yourself and ally under 40% health with a green balance ability, you gain major mending, increasing your healing done 16% for 4 seconds. Nature's Gift. When you heal an ally with a green balance ability, you gain 250 magic or stamina, whichever resource pool is lower. This can occur once every 1 second. Emerald Moss. Increases your healing done with green balance abilities by 2% for each green balance ability slotted. Maturation. When you activate a heal on yourself or an ally, you grant the target minor toughness, increasing their max health 10% for 20 seconds. This is one of the reasons too, if you're running content and people in your group they just need that little bit of extra health, it's good to have the Warden just to give them the minor toughness in the group. He's going to be putting major minor breach going off as an AoE. If you're running heavy attack builds, this is just a good way to also make sure everybody has health. It's just another way to supplement a heal passively to your group. Plus, you're going to give them the minor toughness. The Warden is just a great, fun build to play. Let's see. Other skills you can swap out here. If I'm in solo content, I will replace the Enchanted Growth for the Arctic Blast. Envelop yourself with Winter's Winds. This heals you for over 10,000 health. The winds persist for 20 seconds and chill your foes to the bone, stunning them immediately for 3 seconds upon activation and dealing frost damage every 2 seconds. The damage has a higher chance of applying the chill status effect. Sometimes when I'm in group 2, I will replace my Screaming Cliff Racer for the Arctic Blast if I'm needing that insta stun on enemies and to put the chilled status effect on stuff and kind of boost my team's damage that way. I will sometimes swap that out. If I'm in solo content, I'll take off Green Lotus and put it on here. Winter's Revenge is another skill sometimes I'll play around with. The conjure icy charge at the target location and scare enemies in the area, dealing frost damage every 1 second for 12 seconds. The damage increases 30% if cast with a destruction staff equipped. Enemies hit or overcome with bitter cold, reducing their movement speed 30% for 3 seconds. The ability has a higher chance to apply the chilled status effect. This is an okay skill to run as well. Sometimes I will put it on in place, one of these two. Just depends. For the most part, this is what I run though. This skill here is awesome. So, Crystallized Slab. Spin a shield of ice around you, absorbing over 40,000 damage from 3 projectiles. Each time you absorb a projectile, you launch an icy bolt back at the enemy, dealing frost damage, damaging, stunning them for 3 seconds. There's a lot of instances, things you can do in the game. So much stuff is coming at you, that is just projectile based. This is just an unbelievable shield from stuff like that. I'll give you an example. Say maybe, hey, you want to solo Fanglair, and here is the Revoken. Well, his attacks are all projectile based. So even as a DPS, you could just kind of sit there and just shield through it and reflect it back at him. It's good in a lot of content. So I will sometimes replace that here as well. Just use it basically as a ward. If it's physical damage that's coming at you, just dodge it. Move out of the way. Anything that's projectile based, this takes care of it. Passives, Glacial Steer here. Increase the chance of applying chilled to enemies with Winter's Embrace abilities by 200%. Increase the damage of your chilled status effects by over 1,154. This effect scales off your highest offensive stats. Frozen Armor. Increase your physical and spell resistance by 990 for each Winter's Embrace ability slotted. Icy Aura. Reduce the effectiveness of snares applied to you by 15%. Piercing Gold. Increase your damage done by 2%, which increases to 12% when wielding an ice staff. There is some full ice staff builds out there, and I have tried them. They're okay. I don't really see the major difference between trying to run a lightning staff heavy attack build and just a full on ice staff build on the Warden. I like the lightning staff build set up a lot better. So, but underneath the destruction staff, you can put on crushing shock if you need this ranged interrupt. It's also a good spammable to have. Just have your passives all slotted into these. Your light armor passives. We don't need the medium armor, so there's no medium armor pieces on this build. I have the heavy armor on just for the chest piece and all these passives here. Underneath the Fighters Guild, you want to make sure to get the Banish the Wicked passives. This is going to generate 3 ultimate whenever you kill an enemy. Your Undaunted passives. Undaunted Command, activate a synergy, restores 4% of your max health, stamina, magicka. The Undaunted Metal, we have a light and a heavy setup. So this is only going to give the 4% total. This increases your max health, stamina, and magicka 2% per type of armor. We are a high elf on this build. The passives here, spell recharge, you activate ability, restore 625 magic or stamina based on whichever is lowest. It's going to occur every 6 seconds. When you're using an ability with a channel or cast time, you take 5% less damage. This also includes just when you're dealing your heavy attacks. Surbane's Boon, increase your max magic by 2,000. Elemental Talent, increase your weapon and spell damage by 258. We'll have a look at the champion tree. Underneath the blue, Fighting Finesse, increase your critical damage, critical healing 4% per stage, total of 8. Weapon Expert, this is going to increase the damage done with light and heavy attacks by a total of 20%. Deadly Aim, increase the damage done with single target attacks 3% per stage for a total of 6. I like Deadly Aim better for in-game content. Master Arms can give you a little bit more higher if you're trying to do your parses. This is just going to help more with your heavy attacks and stuff that likes to move around, whereas a target skeleton don't. So I prefer this more in-game over the Mastered Arms, but they're basically about the same. Again, this is just better on targets that's stationary. So you're going to make sure that all of your direct damage attacks are hitting your targets and they're not moving. This is just good for things that like to move around more. You just keep your heavy attack damage up higher on things that want to move. You don't have to worry about it reapplying as much and as often as stuff moving out of things. Wrathful Strikes. This is going to give 205 weapon and spell damage. Underneath the red tree, Strategic Reserve. This gives 30 health recovery for every 10 ultimate you have. This is a great way to sustain. The more ultimate you have, the more health recovery you have coming back. Slippery. This will automatically break you free at no cost. This can occur every 21 seconds. I like to always remind people, if you happen to go into Skullcaller Peak, please remove this because you have to get frozen those mechanics. This will automatically break you free and you will be dead. So just put something else on in place. Next is Fortified. It's going to give 1,731 armor, Balanced Vitality, 1,400 max health. For the green tree, Treasure Hunter, Rationer, Meticulous Disassembly, and Steve's Blessing. We'll go into the character sheet. I have all 64 into max magicka for the attributes. And for your Munda Stone is the Thief. Your food, I run just blue food on this guy. It's glitched out, but this is just blue food. Baked melon parmesan will be fine. This increases your max health and max magicka. As far as your rotation goes, this is not for a parsing rotation, obviously, but if you're just going into your dungeons or whatever it is you're doing, just want to go ahead and buff your team, give them the green lotus, go into your shocks, do your wall, start your heavy, and then hit your cliff racer, and then just keep doing your cliff racer until your wall explodes. Here with the shocks, I reapply them back into the wall, and that's it. That's as simple as a rotation is. Alright, if you guys enjoyed the video, please like, follow, and subscribe. We'll try to get back to you with another one. Later.